Welcome to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. I'm your host, Pete Mezzetti, sitting here with Diana Goode, who's the Executive Director of CCPG. Diana, welcome. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Good to see you again. I know it's
You
under strange conditions. We're doing this virtual because of the social distancing thing. I wish we could be together in studio tonight, but obviously time will tell and we will soon be together. So what's new with CCPG?
Oh, well, we're just trying to power through like everyone else. We're certainly working with the new normal, which is a lot of video conferences and conference calls and things like that, social distancing, and just kind of gearing up for what we think the new normal is going to look like moving forward.
What do you think the new normal moving forward is going to look like?
I don't know.
We don't know.
We've seen a lot of interesting things, especially from the casino world, about how table games may have plexiglass around people, separated from each other and from the dealers, how the slot machines may be skipping every other machine so that people aren't that close to each other. But we're really not sure what ultimately things are going to look like. I know a lot of states are really concerned about losing out on the income from gambling. It's taxed at a very high rate, and a lot of state budgets are counting on casino and gambling income.
Right.
But we just want to make sure, like everything else in our gambling world, that we do everything responsibly and without jumping to conclusions, and make sure we're making the right moves before we jump into anything.
So what exactly does CCPG do?
So the Connecticut Council on Problem Gambling is not for or against gambling. We just want to make sure there are safeguards in place for people who have a problem gambling. There are a lot of people who can gamble responsibly and have fun gambling. That's how they want to spend their disposable income, and that's great. But there are a lot of people who can't gamble responsibly. And we want to make sure that there are mental health places where they can go to get help for any kind of addiction they have with gambling.
Okay. And as far as how is the problem gambling community been adapting during this time?
So there are kind of two sets of the problem gambling world. One is the problem gambler, and the other is people who are trying to help the problem gambler. And we really think that a lot of problem gamblers are really having issues right now because of the isolation, because of the solitude, because of all of the things that are keeping them inside. They're doing different kinds of gambling, which is more online gambling, overseas betting, sports betting on super weird random things. So we're very concerned about those people who have just shifted their problem gambling to more isolated gambling. And then for the rest of us who are really trying to rally for problem gamblers, we've just kind of shifted to how we reach out to people and give help. A lot of online webinars, a lot of telehealth, those kinds of things. So we're still definitely reaching out to people who are problem gamblers who have a problem. And we just think that it's a whole new world for problem gambling and gambling in general.
Now, how has COVID-19, the crisis, affected problem gambling?
We think one of the biggest problems is the isolation. That people are home, a lot of people are home alone, nothing else to do, they're bored, and they are just looking at those addictive behaviors, and things are getting out of control. I mean, I know personally, I didn't realize how regimented my life was. You get up at a certain time, you eat breakfast, you go to work, you eat lunch, right, work out, all of those things. And now that whole line is blurred. And I think that that's really a problem for problem gamblers in isolation, that there is a lot of boredom. There isn't a lot of the same self-discipline that we had before, so that people are starting to get online and gamble and then not know what day of the week it is or what time it is, and not setting any kind of limits like they used to before. You know, a lot of people before could gamble responsibly because you had to go to work.
Right.
Now, not necessarily. So,
exactly.
So a lot of those things that we thought were safeguards are no longer in place for problem gamblers.
Exactly.
Another
And
really
I'm sure.
difficult thing about problem gambling, if it's not something that, like a lot of other addictive behaviors, that spurs up right away. A lot of people are problem gambling right now and going through their money, but they're not done with their money. So it's not going to be for a couple months that we really see people hitting rock bottom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly. And I'm sure. How big of a staff do you have?
There are 4.5 of us. There are 4 full-time and 1 part-time.
And you have a heck of a communications guy.
We have a really solid team all around, to be completely honest with you. It's
Okay.
a group of people. I feel incredibly fortunate before this crisis, during this crisis, to have such an amazing team of people that really care a lot about what's going on and are really plugged into what's going on. That's really a big deal, that they are the go-to people in a lot of different areas.
Absolutely. Who are they?
We have Art Mongillo, who is your friend, who's the communications and advocacy guy. We have Caitlin Fauché Brown, who's the director of programs and services. Yeah. We have Donna Zaharowitz, who's our outreach manager. And we have Lisa Laraya, who does events and fundraising.
Wow, you guys are busy.
Kind of hang out, and I'm thankful that everyone else is doing a lot of work.
Exactly. Exactly. So what's a normal day like? What's a normal day for you? Obviously, it's not get up and go to the office, because this looks like the norm now.
Right. A lot of webinars. We're doing a lot of things online now. One of the biggest issues for us with the whole coronavirus thing was that it hit in the middle of March, which is Problem Gambling Awareness Month.
Yeah.
Which is a really big deal for us. It's something that we plan for. It's something that we don't do alone. We do with a lot of the people who do problem gambling therapy, and with the casinos and the lottery and off-track betting. It's a great month for everyone to come together and realize and talk about the fact that problem gambling isn't good for anyone. Right. And we go to the casinos, we do tabling, we go behind the house and talk to a lot of the dealers. We do some things in the front of the house. The lottery does a lot of advertising for us. They don't do a lot of TV advertising. They give us a bunch of billboards and really push our helpline number. And Problem Gambling Awareness Month is a really big deal, and that was cut short. In the past, we have anywhere between 10 and 12 breakfasts and lunches around the state where problem gamblers will come and share their stories. And we can only do about half of that.
Oh boy.
The social isolation. So we're trying to do more online webinars and seminars and interactive things. But it's different. I think hitting in the middle of Problem Gambling Awareness Month was really tough for us.
Right. Exactly. So tell us a little bit.
A lot of the casinos will rally, and we can do something else, maybe in August or September, when things are hopefully a little bit back to normal.
Yeah, I know. And hopefully things will be back to normal. So tell us a little bit more about what exactly you guys do for Problem Gambling Month.
So we do a lot of breakfasts and lunches that are open to the public and free, and people can come and listen to people share their stories about problem gambling. We try to mix it up a lot, where you're hearing from people in recovery, but you're also hearing from family members. We have some really great speakers. One is a guy who used to do a lot of sports betting. One is a woman whose son was a big gamer and then started gambling on video games. So it's really impactful to come and be able to hear different stories from all different kinds of people, and how it affects not just the problem gambler, but their whole family.
Right.
And then a lot of the things at the casinos, talking to patrons, talking to staff. One of our biggest issues is making sure that casino staff understands what problem gambling looks like, and that they understand that there's a helpline number out there. So if they see someone who's a problem gambler, they can give them our telephone number, and they can call if they want to and get help. So that's really a big deal, making sure that the casinos and the staff are really open to understanding what problem gambling looks like, and that there is, because that's really draining on a lot of the staff at the casinos. Sometimes a dealer will, get to a table and do their shift. They'll spend 8 hours there dealing, and then they'll go home and they'll sleep and they'll eat and they'll interact with their family, and they'll come back, and that same person is still sitting at that table in those same clothes. And it really takes a toll on the casino staff. So being able to share our helpline number and be able to empower those people to reach out so that they can give our helpline number and make sure that people who they think are problem gamblers can get help is a really big deal.
Now tell it, what is the helpline number?
Our helpline number is 888-789-7777. You can
repeat it one more time.
888, just to test me, make sure I know the number. 888-789-7777.
Okay.
Also go to ccpg.org.
Okay.
Text, we've got chat, we've got the number there. So if you don't, even want to pick up the phone and call, you can do some chat, you can do some text. We really want to make sure that people understand that this is totally anonymous.
Okay. Now, what types of, when somebody calls the line, what can they expect?
Most of the time they can expect, if they're calling during the day, they can get Caitlin, who's our Director of Programs and Services, who is very connected to a lot of the gambling therapists around the state and the better programs, Wheeler Clinic. She is a therapist herself, so she really understands what people need, how people can get help, how to meet people where they are. So she really is connected to people who can help around the state.
Now, as far as the pandemic that we're going through and everything, what role did the legislative session play with CCPG?
So nothing went through as far as the legislative session with increased gambling.
Okay.
Not sure what's going to happen now, might be pushed off for another year. There were a number of things that were on the table. Sports betting certainly was a big one. iLottery was a big one. But none of that passed, and we're not sure what's going to happen next.
I know.
The governor just said that he's not going to be doing online gambling, that there was some kind of proposals to open things up a little bit more, and he said he's not ready for that. A lot of states have opened stuff up, and our governor hasn't, which is great.
Absolutely, yeah. A lot of states have opened up, and obviously the state of Connecticut, I believe, phase 1 is May 20, I think.
And it may get pushed back, so yeah, we don't know. And again, we're not for or against any of these increased gambling legislative acts. We just want to make sure that all of them include funding for responsible gambling.
Absolutely. And how do we get funding for responsible gambling?
A number of different ways. We're hoping that it's a percentage of what they're going to be bringing in. We're looking at anywhere between 1 to 5% of any new income. And that's another thing that we really stress is this is new income. We're not butchering any other programs. So as gambling expands and the state makes more money, we just want to make sure that a percentage of that is set aside for problem gambling. Okay.
And obviously, if a percentage is set aside for problem gambling, that would go towards trying to help the person who has the addiction.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And we work with the Department of Mental Health.
Oh, okay.
Which is great. So a lot of the lottery money goes to the Department of Mental Health, which then comes to Problem Gambling Services, which is an organization that helps us. So we work hand in hand with Problem Gambling Services. You froze there for a second.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so did you. That's okay, though. So what were you saying?
So we work with the Department of Mental Health has a division of Problem Gambling Services, and we work with really hand in hand with Problem Gambling Services. So we do a lot of the prevention, they do a lot of the treatment, but we work really well together.
Nice. Now, how close do you guys work with what's going on at the legislature when they're up there in session?
Well, because of Art Mongillo, who's so connected to the LOB, we're there as much as possible, and we're able to talk to a lot of the legislature people and a lot of our legislators about what we're looking for. I think over the last 2 years, we've made a lot of progress because in the past, when people looked at our organization, they assumed we were against gambling. And so really made a huge effort to make sure that everyone understands we are not for or against gambling. We just want safeguards in place. And a lot of things that are happening when we go to the LOB, people find surprising. Like we know the OTB people and the Foxwoods people and the lottery people and Mohegan Sun people, and we are all kind of in there together. Because we feel like we are all in this together. Again, it is not in any of their best interest to have problem gambling. The casinos don't need that kind of press of, problem gambler going off the deep edge, or there's a huge correlation between problem gambling and suicide. They don't need that publicity. So we really work hand in hand to make sure that anyone who has a problem gambling, who can't stop gambling, can find the help that they need.
Exactly.
It's really not confrontational. A lot of people get there and they think that on one side of the room is going to be us and on the other side of the room is going to be them. And it really doesn't happen that way.
No.
We kind of commingle. We really kind of hang out. We all kind of talk. We get back together later. We talk about how else we can do things better and come up with a common agenda and common talking points. So it's really nice. It's not confrontational.
No, you guys can play well with others.
We do. We try to in the sandbox.
Yeah. Nice. I've never met Governor Lamont. What's he like?
I have not met Governor Lamont either.
Okay.
I've met other governors, but not him. So I don't know.
Hey, there you go.
I'm not going to talk trash about Governor Lamont.
No, of course not. No. No. He's doing a heck of a job running the state, considering what he's up against.
I agree. I absolutely agree. Yeah, I'm sure no one ever saw this coming.
No,
so
God, no.
The position that they're all in is crazy for sure.
Oh, it's absolutely nuts. I was telling somebody the other day, because of the pandemic, the last time I was in studio was the 26th of February, and my guest was Senator Paul Formica.
Wow.
So I haven't been in the studio live in a month and a half, 2 months.
Wow.
But because of the miracle of modern technology here, this is, I guess, is the new norm of doing the Pete Mezzetti thing.
And how do you like it this way? I mean, you're such a people person. This can't be easy for you.
No, it's this honestly, this is not, it's being adjusted to. But this is not easy. This is not easy at all, because like you said, yes, I am a people person.
Yeah. And I felt like the last time we met, there was so much that came out of me and you and Art being in the same room that just was fun, I mean,
absolutely.
It's fun. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, you got to go. I'm like, what? I'm not done. So I can imagine that this is not as easy for you.
No, absolutely not. As a matter of fact, the original plan was to be in studio tonight,
and then go out for drinks afterwards,
and then go out for dinner.
That was the plan.
No drinks, no dinner.
Yeah.
I guess we'll have to reschedule this once we get back to a somewhat normalcy of the world. And
right, I'll stick to some box wine and some ramen noodles. Great.
That sounds like a good time. Sounds like a good. So what exactly are you guys doing to keep busy during the time of the pandemic? Obviously, everybody's working from home.
Yeah, again, we are planning a lot of webinars. We're learning a lot about Zoom and how we can do our own webinars.
Yeah.
I've been learning a lot about how to cover for the funding that we're not getting, the Payroll Protection Act and bridge loans, SBA loans, and all of that kind of thing. So a lot of what we're just trying to do is stay connected to each other. Right. Not just within Connecticut, but also with the national organization. There's a National Council on Problem Gambling, and there are 33 state affiliates. So we are now more connected than ever. So I would say a lot of my day is spent looking at other states' webinars and participating in that, doing a lot of the free webinars from the national site, and just making sure that we're all connected and that we're all on the same page. And no one wants to reinvent the wheel with how to get through this pandemic with problem gamblers. So, there are a lot of super negative things. I get that. But one of the super positive things is how connected the 33 affiliates are with the National Council, and being able to all work together, stay connected together. It's a great group. If you're losing it and stressing out, how do I get through this? That's the group to go to. You don't feel like we're alone in this with that national affiliate.
Tell us a little bit about the group if you feel like you're starting to lose it.
Well, yeah, there are a lot of states that have it worse than us, let me just say.
Right.
There are a lot of states who are 100% funded on state money.
Right.
Now, there isn't any state money. There are a lot of states that have staffs of 40 because they're big states and they're doing all of the therapy stuff. And now, how do you look at those kind of hard decisions when your state funding that 3 months ago could sustain 40 people, and now it's not?
Right.
I feel super fortunate that we're in a place where we don't have to make those kinds of hard decisions right now. But there are a lot of states that do.
Exactly. Do you think we're ever going to get I'm assuming at some time and point, we're going to get back to a somewhat normal life and back to normal?
I hope so. But I don't know. I definitely go up and down. I think normal's going to look a little bit different. I don't know. I hope we start getting connected again.
I know.
It's very tough.
Have you seen Art lately?
College, and one was supposed to graduate this weekend, and that's not happening.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So those kinds of things are really hard. Again, we think this stinks for us. I have a niece who's a high school senior. That's really a drag. All the things that you do as a high school senior, prom and graduation and, post-graduation and all those kinds of things that she will never get back.
I know. Because I actually, I'm on the coaching staff for my high school boys lacrosse team, and there's no spring sports season so far this year. Right. So it's like spring sport.
Counting on scholarships and using sports to get into college, and I don't know how that affects them now either.
I know. It's pretty strange, pretty weird, but everything's going to hopefully going to be back to a normalcy maybe in the fall.
Hopefully. Absolutely.
We're hoping. What else do we want to tell people?
So a big issue with kids being home, speaking of not just college kids, but high school kids, being home and doing a lot of screen time.
Yeah.
So always talked about the connection between gaming and problem gambling. And that's really prevalent right now. A lot of parents are trying to work and homeschool and deal with their kids at home and trying to limit screen time, which isn't all that easy.
Right.
Kids are doing a lot of screen time. And I can't fault parents. I can't imagine what it's like to try to get through this homeschooling, dealing with kids and working. But that's definitely an issue. And we've got a lot of upcoming webinars, and we've got a lot of incredibly smart people that we work with that can help parents talk about that kind of screen time thing. So again, people can call our helpline, not just because they're problem gamblers, but because they have family members or kids that they're concerned about. And the people that answer our phone can help them, point them in the right direction of where they can get help. So if parents are out there thinking that their kids are spending too much time, playing video games and being on their phones and being on their iPads, they can call the helpline and give them some tips for sure.
Diana Goode from the CCPG. Thanks for some time. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of Diana, I'm Pete Mezzetti. Thanks. Good night. We'll see you next time.